So if you're like most people, you've probably been going along most of your life putting into 401ks and IRAs. That's where the majority of the savings today in America is. It's in 401ks and IRAs. And the question today is, how is that going to be taxed when I reach retirement? So the one thing that I like to kind of help people define is, what is my lifestyle going to look like when I reach retirement? Because that's going to have a lot to do with how that money is taxed when you actually reach retirement. What do I mean by that? If you're 64 years old, and let's pretend you're going to retire at 65, and the money that you're living on is $100,000, that means at age 64, you have a $100,000 lifestyle, right? That money is affording the lifestyle and all the things that you want to do. When you reach 65, are you going to want to change your lifestyle? Are you going to want to live on less money than you did the year before? Likely not. So what happens at that time, you're going to have money that will come in from Social Security, and then whatever you need to get you to that $100,000 mark, well, where's that coming from? If the only place you've saved is an IRA or a 401k, that's going to be taxed at your ordinary income. So said a different way, that distribution is going to be taxed at whatever your income tax rate is. This assumes that your savings are in what's called a traditional 401k or a traditional IRA. Now, if you've been doing Roths, we've talked about that in other videos, right? Those savings, you're paying the tax now and you're not paying anything when you take distributions. But assuming, like most people, you've been doing the traditional route of traditional 401k, traditional IRA, that's going to be a challenge when you reach retirement, because every distribution you take is going to be taxed at your income tax rate. You've been told all along that you were going to be in a lower tax rate when you retire, but the reality is that's just not the case. The only way that you're in a different or a lower tax bracket is if you have lower income when you actually retire. So lower income means lower or lesser lifestyle. So again, it goes back to when you start to do the planning, have you saved up enough dollars to maintain your lifestyle and pay the taxes on that money? Unfortunately, I've met with some people who have spent their whole life saving into a 401k, and they didn't even realize that they were going to have to pay taxes on that money. Imagine the shock that you would have when you find out, oh my God, all this money that I've been saving up all along and I thought I could just take in retirement, that now you're telling me I got to pay taxes on it too, right? But that's the reality, folks. If you're doing a traditional IRA, traditional 401k, all you've done was taken your money in today's known tax rate, which, by the way, is probably some of the lowest tax rates we've ever seen in our lifetime. You've saved your money in a vehicle that's deferred them out into the future that could potentially be creating a tax time bomb. What do I mean by that? I mean that right now we know what the rates are, but 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road, what are tax rates going to look like? No matter what side of the aisle you're on, you can't ignore the fact that the government is spending money like crazy. Our deficits continue to rise. And where is the government going to get the money to pay for this? They're looking at the source of savings. They're looking at IRAs and 401ks. That's where it's going to be taxed. They have to, at some point, increase taxes. They can't stay at these low levels. So what you have to be aware of when you're taking distributions in retirement is, what are the tax brackets that I fall in? And you can work that game of staying underneath a certain tax bracket so you're not bumped up and paying a higher marginal tax rate.
Hey, this is Rob Gill from the Money Minute. And the question is, if you're smart enough to realize that financial products that are marketed to you as a tax savings are really a tax postponement, meaning, yeah, you might be able to save a little bit of money now when you contribute, but later on, when you take it out, you're going to get taxed at ordinary income. There is alternatives. And those alternatives lie in anything that you buy with after-tax dollars that grows and comes back tax-free is a much better solution over the long term than the often marketed 401k pension plan strategies. Back to the show.
So my guess is if you're watching this video, you're concerned about retirement, right? You're thinking about maybe you're getting close to retirement and you're concerned about what are taxes going to look like. It's a valid concern and you should be looking at that. What you need is a game plan for retirement. If you click the link below, our team can create a customized game plan so you can understand what retirement's going to look like and what your taxes are going to be when you retire. And by the way, this is entirely free for you, so click the link.